Hello everyone, how are you? I'm gonna be doing a quick video explaining what my starter is gonna be. Even though I don't think this is gonna be one of the top builds, you know, I'm kind of playing this, I'm gonna be playing Lich, because it's historically been my favorite class. I started 1.0 with Lich, and yeah, I've been playing, I have thousands and thousands and thousands, and probably half my hours are on Lich, you know, like I have probably more hours in Lich that some content creators have in the entire game. We're talking again, maybe I have 7,000 hours on Lich or something like that. So yeah, it's a big rework, you know. Dead Seal, which was my favorite ability, kind of got completely reworked, so we're gonna see how that feels. But I'm gonna play Lich for the views, pretty much. I'm gonna play Lich for the vibes on hardcore SSF, as always. And, you know, it's a pretty exciting class to play on hardcore because of the low life and the leeching, and, you know, it gets my heart pumping, it gets me excited, and it makes me feel alive, okay? So that's very important, you know, play video games to feel alive, of course, because why do it in real life, right, when you can do it on video games? So yeah, let's start with the starter. Okay, at the beginning, it's gonna be very easy. We're on a Rip Blood Spirit setup. You're gonna go always, as always, for the flat damage. They nerfed this quite a bit, but it's still a lot of damage, so it's still worth it. But this should be a noticeable nerf early game. But we also get the base AoE from Rip Blood, so, you know, we're gonna lose single target, but we're gonna get AoE. Overall, early game should feel, I think, slightly worse because the bosses will be way slower. But the clear, especially on the first couple zones, should feel fucking amazing. After that, we're gonna grab the Blood Tether, just basically because it's another spell that is gonna be going on. It's a sub skill, it's gonna give us Bleed Chance, because Bleed Chance do like almost 50 something damage per tick, well, per ailment. And again, Bleed Chance early game against single target is gonna be very, very powerful. You know, we're gonna be equipping Bone Curse on our bar to proc it, so, you know, we're gonna be doing a bunch of like what we used to do, you know, you Rip Blood, you let your you stack it, you drop Wandering Spirits, you know, you're adding Bleed, so the Tether does a bit more damage, then the Bone Curse is hitting, and then your Skeletons are hitting, so the Bone Curse is proccing. And again, if you want to see this, this is basically what we already do, with a slightly different tree for Rip Blood. Then at level 12, the moment we unlock Spirit Plague, we're gonna be specking Spirit Plague instead of Wandering Spirits. And the reason for that is because it gives us amazing clear. Very important, at the moment you get this Plague Bearer, this feels amazing for AoE and just killing trash, and allows you to speedrun really, really nice. Doesn't really do anything outside of that, but I love taking it for the extra clear. And then you're just gonna try to scale the damage as much as possible. Again, the idea would be that you use a single Rip Blood, right? You use a single Rip Blood, boom, 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 you Rip Blood, Rip Blood, Rip Blood. Then you throw Spirit Plague on the bosses, of course, and, you know, you can change Transplant for Bone Curse while you're bossing, so you can get a bit of extra damage, and you try to frack that way, pretty much. Yeah, really, 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 really nice. And this is basically what we've been doing already, kind of fixing this for you guys on the video. Then at level 20. We're gonna get a new specialization skill. That's gonna be a Reaper form. The good thing about Reaper form early on is that it also gives us a lot of increased damage. So, you know, we're gonna path towards here for getting the damage right before some of the bosses on the chapter 3, etc. You should be getting to that boss when you get Reaper, so that's nice. You get quite a bit of damage. We keep scaling, you know, the Spirit Plague, and we're getting some intelligence, so we get flat damage. We're not spamming Spirit Plague, right? We are just spamming Rip Blood and throwing single Spirit Plague for the entire duration, and then Reaper form is just given steroids, right? I personally really like getting for the no Rip shared cooldown, so I can dash around like a fucking maniac and go fast, and it feels amazing. But you don't have to do this if you don't care about being extra mobile, okay? Again, you keep playing, you know, on the passives so far. It's pretty straightforward, you know, you go for the increased damage because you have some minions early on, so you're double dipping kind of for bossing. Then you go for the intelligence necrotic, then you put some points in vitality just so you don't fucking die in hardcore. And then you start going into the Lich so you can sustain Reaper form. You could do the other way around, especially if you're playing softcore. You grab the intelligence, and then we're gonna put a couple points here because later we're gonna need the vanguards. I'll explain why, okay? Again, we're still going into the intelligence, and that's pretty much what we were doing already. But these 2 points were here before, so that stays the same. Then this is the first big change. At level 35, we're gonna unlock a new skill, And what we're going to be doing on Riplot is we're going to be speccing for the Marrow shards. No? We grab the Tether, we grab the flat damage, we grab the Tether, we grab some AoE, and then we're going to go for Marrow shards. Again, the Marrow shard proc should be pretty nice. Because it's just going to help with single target quite a bit, which is what this build lacks, especially early game. Additionally, this doesn't cost any mana, but it does cost a lot of HP, and that's one of the reasons why we spec for this additional spell Lich, so we don't kill ourselves, while doing Marrow shards. Again, at this point, Marrow shards will do quite a bit of damage, and will apply some bleeds for our blood tether. So that should do significant damage on bosses. It should be noticeable, because remember, this damage is actually doubled for Riplot. So it should be decent. Okay, it should be decent. Then we're gonna keep playing, and then by the time we level 50, we play the same build, right? But we will unlock another skill. Now, this is the place where a lot of people are gonna get baited, or they're gonna be very tempted to go for Flay, right? Because you could go for Flay here, but the problem with Flay is that Flay early game has quite a bit of a mana cost. It's 10 mana. So if you get this straight up and you haven't built up any mana generation or something like that, which you could preventively do, but you would scuff your early game, I think it's gonna feel pretty bad in terms of mana and sustain. It's gonna be fun, but it's gonna be pretty. I don't think it's gonna be better than just doing this in terms of DPS, in terms of everything. You already have a lot of fucking clear. You already are super fast with 3 dashes, with Evade, Rip, and Transplant on your bar. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna start preparing a crit transition. And the reason we do it with Hungering Souls is because Hungering Souls has 15 flat base crit, plus it's 20 flat crit, with your own flat crit. And we're stacking a bit of crit chance here. We're starting to get some crit chance on the passives. So this crit chance is slowly stacking up, and you should be able to start doing some pretty big crits. But we're actually not using Hungering Souls ourselves. We're just like preemptively leveling up, so the moment we get Death Seal, we can use it, right? When do you want to do the switch? You do the switch to the Death Seal when you have low life, right? And this is going to be very important to talk about, because these points are going to be also a bit of a trap. You don't want to switch to low life, I think, unless you can actually benefit from it. What points give you good stuff on low life? Obviously, these points, which are not super important early on, and the lifesteal stuff, right? So if you don't have this lifesteal stuff, or this ward generation thingy, be very careful of going into corrupted form early. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing 1 point there to not get the threshold, build my crit, right? Get my resistances, get my penetration, get all that, right? Get the flat damage early game because it's noticeable. And then once I have a Curse Fist and Mind over Body, then I'm going to go into corrupted form. Not before, okay? Not before. Very important. And then once I get corrupted form and I get my low life passives and I get all my resistance passives that we're gonna be building up, then what I'm gonna be doing is we're gonna completely drop Spirit Plague that we had, right? And we're gonna spec Death Seal. And the reason we're gonna spec Death Seal is because Death Seal is gonna be our passive Hungering Soul's machine gun, basically. So the first points you're going to be grabbing is you're going to be grabbing these points here, which are the important ones. That's why we preemptively spec Hungering Souls, so we can go into Death Seal and immediately benefit from a fully spec Hunger Souls, yeah? And basically what this does is like we're going to have, for the duration of what Death Seal should have been, which is like around 3.5 seconds with these points, you're gonna get 70% of that time, so around 3 seconds. You're gonna be throwing Hungering Souls, right? And you're gonna be throwing almost 2 Hungering Souls, 2 Hungering Souls per second, and they're gonna be critting for quite a bit. So this is basically to supplement or single target, because Riplot by now we will already have blood splatters. We'll already have, it will be already doing pretty good. We'll have Marrow shards proccing Bone Splinters, or AoE should be kind of covered. So we're gonna go for the Hungering Souls for our single target, which is the worst part about Lich early game by far. This is something that I already did last patch, you know, for my world records and stuff. So we're still gonna do that. And then you're gonna be on a fucking vacuum of leveling, putting points, until you consider switching into a dual wield setup. The reason we use a staff is because the staff gives us very high flat damage, and we don't really need crit on Hungering Souls, because again, it has 20 flat crit, right? So a catalyst doesn't really do much for us. The change is when we manage to get a Traitor's Tongue, which is probably going to be the item that we're going to try to get first, with the Runes of Ascendance and all that. And this basically will allow you to switch into the dual wielding node. It's 20% attack speed, which is also very noticeable. But again, in hardcore, do you really want to switch to this before you have all the defensive passives? I don't know, right? I don't know if I want to take that risk, especially with how tired I am and how fucked I am, how horrible I feel. So yeah, and again, I just like did a very basic planner of just like, hey, these are the stats that you want. Stack a shit ton of health, stack intelligence, you know, if you can. Get your basic resistances sorted. Try to get woven flesh for the crit avoidance and just go fucking ham, you know. And again, you get the spell damage through this new affix, the spell and necrotic damage affix. And, you know, eventually, with this transition of the crit and stuff and the axe, we will also put the points here for the more damage and the movement speed. And, you know, we're start fragging with this setup. And eventually, you know, we are gonna go into the Flay setup, yeah. Flay setup, very cool. I think basically we're gonna be dropping Death Seal completely, and we're gonna drop Hungering Souls completely, and we're gonna be going for a Flay full AoE setup where I'm focusing on proccing Marrow shards, right? I'm focused on proccing the Blood Eruptions, which are gonna be our new single target, because this should be quite a bit of damage once we have the setup. And we're gonna try to get as many curses as possible. The curses we're gonna get are Bone Curse, which is gonna apply Bone Curse and Steel Shields of Mortal and Mark for Death. So that's 2 curses. And then you're also gonna be playing an additional curse through Exposes Flesh. So again, you should be at least for free get 3 curses, which, you know, that would be 90% more damage. That's pretty noticeable. We're gonna be going for Marrow shards, which by this point we should start. We're gonna be going into base crit after we have all of this. And again, I called it Flay XP AoE YOLO because I don't really know what to call this setup. I think it's gonna be absolutely. I don't think the single target is gonna be amazing, but the clear should be pretty fucking good. And again, I'm probably gonna try to get good XP, and again, I'm gonna go to bed and shit. If people like Rody and some of the hardcore guys who are like, you know, as good as me, don't sleep, then I have no chance. And, you know, I've been working on the guides. I've done 20 guides in the last 4 days. So I'm probably gonna go to sleep, but I'll try to have a good day 1 showcase, if that makes sense. And yeah, the AoE should be good, basically. And AoE means XP. I'm probably gonna be hovering, like, again, 300 corruption for most of the first few hours, like the first 48 hours, just trying to get as much XP as possible. And you know, who knows, maybe we get at least number 1 Lich, because I think Road is playing Mage, if he hasn't changed his mind. So yeah, it should be good. And then I have also added like a normal pre-Aberoth setup of what I think I would transition this into, kind of like just to give you a bit of a example of what I think the build is gonna eventually look like by the time I'm level 100. Okay, so again, it's gonna be linked in the description, the planner. It's quite the planner, right? It's quite the journey. But you know, I am a meticulous man. And again, if you want loot filters for this, you can just basically generate, you know, if you're very picky, hide items from other classes, generate, and that's it, you have it, right? And it will take into account all of this. And you know, if you finish the campaign and you want to generate another filter, you would just go into the loot filter, and you would just do, you know, instead of like campaign season start, you would just do strict for empowered monoliths, and so on. You know, you would like raise the bar slowly until you are chilling, pretty much. That's what I'm gonna be doing. I do have a filter that gonna be available on my Discord. I'll link it also in the description, just for the campaign, because I like doing the campaign as efficient as possible. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, it's gonna be fast. It's gonna be fun. We will see about everything else, you know. Again, be very careful with Flay starter recommendations by people who don't really know what they're saying. Okay. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you on patch, because I think this is probably my last video.